Is it true that the experience of awakening is only available to adult souls who have already been reincarnated many times? And finally, in this life, are they ready to free themselves from their karma completely, to burn it away, to be clear off suffering? Or is the situation actually different? If we look at various traditional schools, we see that many masters argue among themselves about certain things. Is there an atman or is there no atman? What exactly is an atman? Is there an individual soul or there is no soul? Is there reincarnation, and if so, what is it that reincarnates, the soul or the samskaras? So all of this is really philosophy. There is a lot of philosophy about things we can't verify. Yes, if someone were to come from the other side and tell us exactly how things really are, then we could actually do something with that information. But in reality, all ideas about past lives, about future ones, all of that, it doesn't concern the body at all. So you can think about this as much as you want, but I think it's better to be guided by what we can actually touch. We can deal with this life, with the past, let it go, stop looking into the future when there is no point in it. We can find ourselves here, and we can thus come to that very experience which is called awakening. But because people spend so much time on philosophy, on some pointless reflections, they end up missing the most important thing. What needs to be done in order to awaken? Why not think about it? Why do you need to take the responsibility off yourself and shift it elsewhere, onto some past lives? Like, this is my 1001st life, not my 1002nd, so I need one more, and in the next one, I'll awaken. But what if there are no other lives, and you just die, and that's it? Why not concern yourself with your own personal problems in this current life? Take life and full responsibility into your own hands and deal with what you have. Why put off until future lives what you can effectively do in this one? And some people who have awakened, for example, at someone's satsang, pick up on this idea. Well, maybe they themselves didn't fully understand how the awakening happened, didn't figure it out. For example, if we take the professional game of football, we will see that a head coach isn't necessarily a perfect or elite football player. But if we take a perfect, talented football player, he might not be able to become a head coach. You have to study separately to become a coach. It's the same thing here. Someone might say, wow, he compares it to some kind of football and a great experience. But what is the greatness of this experience? In general, what do you know about this experience? If you are interested in the topic, perhaps you have been meditating for a long time, perhaps you have been searching for yourself for a long time. Could you at least describe in a few words what awakening is, how it differs from full awakening, what the path to awakening looks like or not? What exactly do people usually do to awaken? Specifically, what needs to be done? And the most amazing thing is that the answers are in the scriptures, the answers are in the traditional teachings. But it's more convenient not to get into it, not to try to figure it out, not to try to rely on what you can touch, feel, and verify. It's much more pleasant to build all sorts of interesting concepts that in fact ultimately give you nothing. I've seen a lot of people who were deeply engaged in spiritual development, and then various difficult situations happened to them. Some external circumstances interfered in their lives, financial losses, bereavements, and health problems. If you don't have a foundation, that is, you don't really understand what you're doing or why as you follow your so-called spiritual path, as soon as external circumstances change, you immediately turn 180 degrees and say, no, there's no such thing as spirituality. For example, there was a loved one and now they're gone. I don't see any soul. What kind of spirituality is that? I was mistaken. And this happens to many people because there's nothing tangible to hold on to. We spend 10 years pondering what kinds of reincarnations there might be, and then someone close to you dies and you say, no, there are no reincarnations, I don't see any souls. No one has contacted me, that person simply doesn't exist anymore. Only the body is left and that's it. And I've actually seen such stories where people became hardened materialists, atheists. They would say that there is no God, otherwise how else can you explain this? Initially their mind wasn't very flexible, and when stress happened, everything turned upside down and the person lost their faith. So the question is, should we base things on faith? What exactly does faith give us here? I'm not talking about any extremes, where you completely shut yourself off and say, I don't believe in anything. Come on, prove it to me. Show me what awakening is. No, I'm just saying that you shouldn't set your expectations too high. And here, in the moment, you can, for example, I give you some practice, you can try to do it and then tell me what result you got. You can ask, maybe I did something wrong, and I'll tell you maybe and correct you. And through these kinds of interactions, you can try things out to do something instead of just thinking about it. Yes, that's a very different thing. And in the end, get some kind of result. There's no other way. If we look at some well-known masters, for example, I saw a video by Sadhguru about eggplants. So, on some channel, they posted a video about eggplants, and it got millions of views. In other words, where Sadhguru says that maybe you will live out your whole life and never reveal your full inner potential. I saw several video clips where he carefully draws a comparison between the experiences that could potentially unfold to money in a bank account that you are unaware of. Like you have $1 billion in your account, but you don't know it, and you'll never use it. Videos like that don't get any views. Compared to videos about eggplants, compared to videos about how you should sleep properly, on which side you should sleep. Why does this happen? Because we rely on thoughts, not on what we actually feel right now. I mean, are you really interested in whether you can eat eggplants or not? These are just thoughts. You want to latch on to something simple. If someone talks to you for half an hour about how you have some kind of potential and so on, and finally they will say, by the way, here's one tip on how to see consciously. Oh, now that's interesting, let's hear more about that. And you don't need eggplants to see consciously. You might wonder, what does your life have to do with lucid dreams? How can they even affect anything? How is this connected to awakening? And again, what is awakening? Answer this question for yourself. There are not very many videos on my channel yet, but if you're interested, write your thoughts in the comments section. I'll record a more detailed video to analyze your question, and maybe I'll even be able to reply to some of you in the comments. These videos are provided by a neural network, so there may be some slight and minor inaccuracies in the translation. Overall, these videos are carefully reviewed and checked by professional people who studied at foreign language institutes and have an exceptionally high and excellent command of the English language. And maybe they will miss some details, but overall, everything should be more or less clear. The general meaning, of course, will be maintained and fully preserved regardless of the translation. Thank you for your attention. I wish the best of luck to everyone, and goodbye for now.